Good afternoon, everybody. I couldn't decide if it was morning or afternoon. But today I'm really, really excited to do another live with another one of my favorite people, and that is Molly Gray, who is a contender for lieutenant governor. I said that in a really southern way, even though I'm not southern. Who is a contender for the lieutenant governor of the state of Vermont, and I'm just gonna wait until she chimes in. Okay, I'm gonna invite her, and this is so cool. Not my usual content, but we're gonna be talking about sports and other things. Hello, Molly. How are you?
Hi! Oh my gosh, we're
Okay.
doing it!
I know. So cool. I haven't put makeup on today.
Oh, you look fabulous. And also, where is that your house? Look at those
Yes.
amazing plants.
These are the ones that have survived. I keep buying new ones, but the new ones don't survive. I guess they don't like it here. Um, and that's okay, but I have some nice plants here. How are you?
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you as
I
well.
was like, I'm just gonna try to be cool for 30 minutes because I am such a big fan and just really excited to be on. I'm actually joining you from downtown Barrie. I'm at the
Okay.
People's Health and Wellness Clinic where I did a tour
I
this
love
morning,
it.
and they're like, you can use a space upstairs. So we're here.
I love
It's one
it.
of 7 free healthcare clinics in the state, mostly volunteer
Oh,
led
oh
with
wow.
like they do dentistry work,
Mhm.
primary care. It's awesome. Anyhow, but I'm like,
Dentistry.
are you in
Hmm.
Montpelier this morning? Where are you? Are
No,
you at
I
home?
actually I live in Winooski now. I moved from
Oh, what?
Montpelier a couple of
Cool.
years ago, and that's a story. Maybe we'll talk about that today. But I live in Winooski now, which actually is great because I live right by the airport. It's a 9-minute commute because that's airport commuting is my job, and it's actually perfect. I live in an old mill building, right on the river, and it is just. I mean, as you can see, there's like exposed beams
I
and
love
junk and
it.
clothes everywhere. And but it's and there's lots of light, and it's a really great place to live. So I
Winooski,
love it.
there's so
Yeah.
much happening. Like all of the new restaurants,
Hmm.
the community is just terrific. Like the city council,
The
all
city
the
council is
business
amazing.
leaders who are like,
Amazing.
they're all in. Like there's like a new hotel
Hmm.
coming in. I don't know if I
Hmm.
ever told you, but my husband's a pilot and he actually
What?
left this morning he's flying today all over the East Coast. Um, Knock on
I
wood,
love
everything
it.
goes okay. But yeah, like we also have
Yes.
to be close to the airport because he's
Yes. Hmm.
gone half the month and it's like just the commute time. So yeah,
Makes it a lot easier.
I have like a super random first question for you, and I'm
Yes.
hoping
Yes.
that other people will join
Okay.
us and we can take some questions too. But where is your favorite place to run now? I mean, I guess I was thinking of like other places in Vermont,
Hmm.
but like now you're closer, to Winooski, Chittenden County. Is there a place that's like this is my go-to for trail running?
For trail running, my go-to, okay. So, favorite is a very loaded word because depending on where I am, I have a trail that I go to all the time, and it may or may not be my favorite. But this actually is one of my favorite places to run is Niket Bay State Park. Incidentally, I just spoke for the state park directors conference yesterday, and I got to tell them all about my experiences in various state parks here in Vermont. And so Niket Bay State Park, yeah, I mean, you've got waterfront, you've got flat trails, flat-ish trails, you have gnarly trails, you've got it all in this, in a really, really beautiful setting. So that's one of the places that I am at all the time. And then, when I lived in Montpelier, Hubbard Park, that was my spot. I would either walk or drive to it. And it became a place of respite, especially during COVID, where lots of people would be out. And it was just so great to see people being out and just walking and running and taking their kids out. It's awesome. I don't do a whole lot of road running
Yeah,
anymore because it's hard on the body, and I'd rather be in the trees. So,
yeah.
but yeah, those are my so Niket Bay State Park, Hubbard Park, and I still do go down there. I do a lot of shooting of my content down there, and I just love being in Montpelier. I mean, it's where the first place that I lived when I moved to Vermont, so it has a special place in my heart.
And have
Yeah.
you been to Red Rocks yet?
You
I
know,
would highly recommend. There's
yes,
like a
yes, I
good,
have been. I have been to Red
yeah.
Rocks. I did a trail running clinic there. I keep
Oh,
forgetting.
nice. That's kind of my go-to. I feel like it's like the trees are magnificent. Sometimes I'm blown away, and I'm like, this doesn't feel like Vermont. It feels like a little like a redwood forest,
Hmm.
sort of like
Hmm.
California style, but right here. And then yeah, some like easy uphills, nice downhills, like
Yeah.
not too hard for
Uh-huh.
a mama that's like super out of shape. Um, and
Really
everyone
good.
there
Really
is, I
good.
think everyone's kind of like you see people and it's like, hi, good to see you, but
Yeah.
everyone's kind of
Hmm.
respecting the peace of the sanctuary that it
Yes.
is, you know? Like
Yes.
I love that.
That's
So
why I love trail running. People respect each other, and
yeah.
I know you're out doing your thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm gonna say hi. I'm gonna keep moving.
Totally, totally. It's like can't talk, gonna keep going. I'm super curious, like, and I know there's been a lot. I was reading your most recent post, and I just blown away by the time you put into putting out like such beautiful, joyful content that I know I'm like one of what 174,000 people who are just like the biggest Myrna fans, but I'm just so curious how you kind of manage like training, maintaining your own fitness, which just like the amount of work that you do. You're also an opera singer. You're like learning French, traveling all over the world, like
Mhm.
and just and a mom and caregiver. Just
Mhm.
yeah, like how do you do it all and continue to show up
Mhm.
with like so much incredible goodness that like we benefit from, right? Like we all of us who are in your virtual space,
Mhm.
like I mean,
Thank
personally,
you.
I'm like there's so much hate and so many haters, and like
Yeah.
after I see something you've posted, I feel inspired, I feel motivated, I feel really good. I'm like, you're such an amazing Vermont ambassador.
Oh,
So anyhow,
thank
I'm,
you.
I'm just like pouring it on here,
Thank you
but
for
I'm
like gassing me and like inflating my ego. Uh, sometimes I need that. I always know that there is goodness in the world, and I definitely want to reflect that in my content on social media. I don't necessarily want to participate in the negativity because it can be extremely negative, and it very often is. And I refuse to participate in that. There are other things to be doing. There are people to take care of. There's humanity to worry about. I do not want to mire myself down in the negativity, and so that's not what I try to inculcate on my channels. And I'm really only on Facebook, for like family and stuff. And I have a professional
don't go,
Facebook
don't
page
go
and stuff,
there. Don't go
but
there. It's so
yeah,
toxic. Yeah.
it's very toxic. But again, like you can formulate your algorithm to reflect what you want it to, even with the interruptions that are inherently there. But yeah, I try to do that, and also like in terms of like I don't know. I'm sensing the question is like, how do you balance it all? There's no balance. There's absolutely no balance. You know how like Oprah or somebody said in the 90s that you can you can have it all, but just not at the same time. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I live. I am a multivariate person, if that's the word. Multivariate calculus is
Yeah.
anyway. So I do a lot of different things, and I engage in a lot of different disciplines. And when it's time to engage in one discipline, like some other things fall to the wayside. Maybe my parenting isn't great. Maybe I am late paying bills. Maybe, which is often the case. Maybe I forget to do something, but usually it means that I'm really like hyper focused on one thing, and the work, because the work needs to be good. The work is good, and so I try to give myself grace. I try to stay trained for all the various things that I have to do, and so I that's something that I do constantly. And now I'm like re-engaging in opera and re-engaging in French, and because those are things that I love to do, and they feed my soul, and I have to do them in order to feel sane and to be able to do other things. So I engage in my creative side, I engage in my linguistic side. I mean, my background is in teaching language and teaching music. And so engaging in those things helps me do the other things with more focus. And so, yeah, like I love it. I love being busy. That doesn't work for everyone. I loved, having my hands in lots of different buckets at the same time. Doesn't work for everyone, gives other people anxiety. It lights me up. So yeah, so that's kind of how I live my life. Yeah. And so yeah, what about you? Like you are on the campaign trail. And and there's so many things to talk about in terms of that. Like you also have to deal with a bunch of negativity. You also have to deal with, I mean, because politics is inherently negative on social media anyway. And, it shouldn't be, but it is. And, but there's so much goodness. Um, I love it when, folks come up with positive messages. Case in point, um, there is a particular mayor from where I am from, New York City,
Yeah,
who was seen as too soft, too young,
yeah,
and but that mayor is getting things done because
totally.
they because he's soft and and young I'm not saying that you are soft,
I appreciate still being called
you know,
young at 42.
and
Yeah.
I don't know your age because but I think that's so necessary right now, and which is why I'm so happy to be talking to you today, because I think you really emulate that. You're also a parent. You also know that side of things, and how difficult it is to be a working parent, a parent, just a parent in general, you know, and how that ties in, healthcare, childcare, all that stuff. Okay, so I'm getting way ahead of myself, because I get so excited. Anyway, tell me, first of all, who are you, Molly? And why are you
Yeah.
running for lieutenant governor? And also,
Yeah.
what even is lieutenant governor?
Lieutenant
Okay, I want
Governor,
all of those
totally. It's
things.
like such a
Okay.
good question. It's like a really interesting office. I mean, I guess it's a little bit about me. Like, grew up in like very rural Orange County. Was born in like a 1790s farmhouse without a dryer, dishwasher,
That's amazing.
microwave. Still doesn't have, still not there. Like, kind of grew up with like hanging jeans over a wood stove so they would be dry in time for like school the next day. And my parents didn't have much, but they made sure we had, food. Like we grew a lot
Hmm.
of our own food. We like cut wood. Like we had a wood
Yeah.
furnace in the house and in the kitchen. And but we always had community. And in some ways, like there were always people at our table. Like there were
Hmm.
always all sorts of kids from school or family friends, like working on the farm. It's a vegetable and dairy farm. My brothers still help run it today. My parents are still living in that old farmhouse.
That's amazing.
And I guess like for me, like, I was thinking about like, why do I care so much about like basic human need and human dignity? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where does that come from? And I think it comes back from just being in this place where like, even though my parents were running a business, they cared deeply about those who are like coming into contact
Hmm.
with the farm. And then, yeah, my dad was actually a former Olympian. He was a cross
Yeah.
country skier, competing in like the 68 and
What?
72 Olympics. And my mom was a downhill ski racer and made the 1976 downhill ski team. And unfortunately,
Wow.
had a really bad ski accident, enveloped her
Mm.
career in
Oh no.
her. Yeah, it ruined her career. So we
No.
grew up like it was always
Mm.
like get outside. Like it was
Hmm.
like it was just like they would just like send us out into the fields, like into the woods. We would
Hmm.
always be on skis or like riding bikes, like without helmets, or like just like we were like feral farm kids, athletes. And then I
Hmm.
remember in high school I started cross country ski racing,
Okay.
and I was actually randomly really good because that's all we did as kids, like no formal training. And then
Wait,
ended
can we
up
do that this winter?
we totally can.
Okay. I
We
mean,
totally
I'm
can.
not
Although I
good.
just want you to know,
I'm not
I
good.
don't wax skis anymore. Like I like going like waxless. Like I like to be in the woods, like no, no
Okay.
spandex if I can avoid it. Like just like out there breathing and having
Okay.
fun. Or we can skate
Okay.
or classic, either one.
Okay. Okay.
I love it.
Classic. Classic. I don't do skiing yet, but
Um,
but that's
but
amazing. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. But like spend, I guess like a ski race for UVM and went through like 10 years where I was like training all the time, like
Mm-hmm.
had a training plan, training year round. And then I got a little burned out. And I also
Mm-hmm.
started finding like, you were talking about these like other really big interests that you have. And I was like starting to find my own interests in human rights and
Hmm.
foreign policy. My brother was deployed to Iraq after 9/11, and just sort of starting to like come to terms with the
Yeah.
world. And then I was like, well, unless I want to go back to the farm, like I really need to find a career. And so I ended up like, I'm gonna get a law degree because that's what we do, right? We get a
Yeah.
law degree.
Uh-huh.
Like no one can take that from you as a woman in particular.
Hmm.
And so got a law degree, focused in human rights law, and then spent the last 20 years working as a human rights advocate, assistant attorney general, former lieutenant governor, and decided and I guess the job of lieutenant governor is really interesting. I think it's like the best job in state government because you both work as part of the executive branch.
Hmm.
You're independently elected from the governor. But you work in the Vermont Senate every day during the
Right.
session, the president of the Senate. So you're kind of like in music world, like a conductor of an orchestra
Okay. Hmm.
and like kind of working to bring out the best in legislators, working on policy, making sure that like decorum is maintained.
Hmm.
And I love that like kind of nerdy process leadership part that feels really
Okay.
important at a time where
Yeah.
politics are so broken. Plus, like using this office to focus on really, really important issues. And for me, it's like holding the goddamn line against the federal
Yes.
administration and all the
Hmm.
crazy things that they're trying to do, especially to blue states.
Do
And
we
then
have
like,
3 more hours to talk
yeah,
about this? Because,
sorry,
oh
yeah,
my
I'm
goodness.
sorry, I'm like going off. Yeah, but anyhow, and then like
Yeah.
we have not had a woman in this role. I was the fourth woman to serve as lieutenant governor, but like we've been so focused as a state on roads and bridges.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
yes, that's
Hmm.
important, but
Hmm.
human
Hmm.
infrastructure is also
Yes.
extremely important. Childcare, paid leave,
Mhm.
universal primary care. Like Vermonters are struggling. The people in our communities are struggling just to have their basic needs met. And so I want that. I want like our
Yeah.
fierce resistance and our fierce resilience. And that's why I'm running.
I
Yeah,
love
and I'm
I
all
love that.
in. I'm all
I
in.
love that. And I love that your background is a rural background, but you are fighting for everyone, which I think is really important. And even though your background is rural and my background is very urban, I am from Brooklyn, New York.
I
Don't get it
know.
twisted.
Super cool.
Yay, Knicks. um, um, it there are so many similarities to struggles. Like I grew up in a working class family that toggled the poverty line.
Yeah.
And, while we didn't hang our dungarees, as we used to call them,
Yeah.
over a wood stove, we did hang them over the stove, you know. And it was rough and tumble. We were outside all the time, maybe not in the field, maybe not cross country skiing, but we were outside all the time. And so there are definite, um, similarities. I think that a lot of people, when they're thinking of a candidate or someone that they're considering voting for or supporting or lending their support to, um, we miss out on the commonalities, and the commonalities and the differences, obviously are what really make community. And I love that your background and your like law degree and your human rights work is directly connected to your upbringing, and also like in caring for the upbringing of other people, and their communities. And that's really important. Have you heard of the runner Stephanie Case?
Stephanie Case.
She
Is she the one that
she's
did like this famous ultra marathon and
Yes, and was
like this
nursing her kid at
yes.
Snowdonia 100K.
Yes. And with that
Uh,
legendary picture
yes,
where I
yes.
was Stephanie Case, but I'm also thinking of the woman who just broke the like 60-hour mark and was in I think it was Arizona. I can't remember her name.
Oh, Rachel Edgerkin.
Yeah. I just
Uh,
like yeah.
yes, yes. I
These
mean,
things are
like,
like women
it's
are
so
doing.
crazy.
Like,
Yes, yes. And not only, it's really cool that not only are we, as tradition would have it, you know, parents. Some of us are parents, not all of us. But we are really, really breaking through stereotypes of what women can do, and how women impact the world. Because we know we first of all we hold up more than half the sky. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. Okay, we
amen.
we
Yeah.
hold up the entire sky. If it's up to me to to say, you know. And it's so cool to see all of these breakthroughs happening in real time with real people, with real jobs, with families or without families, but with other responsibilities. And I love that, and I love the possibility of seeing you again as lieutenant governor, because I think, lots of people think it's just sort of a decorative position, and like, well, what, you just answered what a lieutenant governor does. I mean, we need your voice, we need your work, we need your expertise, and all of the things that are happening in Vermont. I think specifically of the housing crisis here.
Oh my gosh, it is profound. It is so, and don't get me wrong, like I was talking about roads and bridges, but like
Yeah.
housing, yes, is part of our human
Yes.
infrastructure, right? It's like it's
Absolutely.
healthcare and housing. And it's not just like, oh, let's build a ton more housing. It's like
Right.
navigating that we need like housing for aging parents
Hmm.
who shouldn't be in a 1790s farmhouse, like trying to put wood in a wood furnace down in the basement, right? Like that's not a good idea, right? But it's like housing for new
Hmm.
families,
Hmm.
housing for folks who want to like move to Vermont to, because we are the place, right?
Yes.
With awesome food and great nature
Hmm.
and sport and recreation, and we make it so incredibly hard. But
It's
I'm
very
really I'm
yes.
really hopeful with a lot of the different housing reforms we're taking on. I just think now we really
Yeah.
have to dive into healthcare. Um, One thing that I feel so strongly about, and from like a leadership perspective, is like listening,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
really deep, intentional listening. And I feel like from that is where you learn the absolute most, and being like deeply, deeply curious about people's needs and
Hmm.
experiences and what makes them tick. But one thing that I really want for this office is like not only for it to be like super open and
Hmm.
physically open for women and children and families, and like a space that's like, oh, we're going to stop by the state house and go see the lieutenant governor. And we know, like, I don't know, like there'll be toys and extra
Yeah.
diapers if needed. But I also think like being able to be a space that's like really lifting up
Hmm.
voices that aren't being heard and different concerns. And I used to run this thing called a seat at the table, and we would pick up all sorts of different issues. We never picked up outdoor recreation. And not to like put you hard on the spot right now,
Yes.
but I'm curious,
Yes.
like, you know so much about what is accessible and what is not, and both in terms of like sexism and racism
Hmm.
and industries that are like highly male dominated. And I'm just curious, like, is there an area or space in Vermont where you're like, this is what needs to happen to really make Vermont a truly accessible place, like truly
Man.
diverse, truly equitable, truly inclusive? And I'm
Yeah.
like, this probably should be like a whole other
That's
Instagram
yeah. That's a
live, and
big
we can
question.
follow up. But like, I like would be remiss if I didn't ask. It's like, it's a big concern. Like,
So let me tell you a story. Okay, so a couple of years ago, I did some work with. And I told the story yesterday at the conference that I was speaking at, and I did some work with the Nature Conservancy of Vermont, and it was really cool. My job was to bird watch with them, and I did some speaking. I did some DEI work with them as well, and my other job was canoeing. Right, we were canoeing the Green River Reservoir,
yeah,
um, and and I was doing my thing. I was doing social media. I'm asking questions. I'm learning about all the various properties in the state of Vermont, and how the paper industry is the largest landowner, but the Nature Conservancy is the second largest landowner in Vermont, which is, I think, very cool.
wow, huh,
Um, and so I'm learning all these things. I'm doing it like it's a beautiful day. There are loons on the lake. There are all of these other waterfowl, and it's just a gorgeous day, gorgeous like early fall day. And so I post all of that stuff on Instagram, and then a year later, um, E. Frankel, who was the then director of the Nature Conservancy of Vermont, says she emails me and she says, "Well, my husband and I were on the island that we canoed to, and this family rolled up, and it was a black family. And as Vermonters do, that sometimes Vermonters are very curious about black people, like as has been my experience, in Vermont, because Vermont is only 1.7% black or African American,
yeah,
and so." That's according to the 2024 census information, by the way, because I looked it up, and and so they see these people, kind of paddling up to this island, and they have a camp spot, and they said, you said, well, hey guys, like, how are you? Like, how'd you get here? Just I'm
Oh God. Yeah.
paraphrasing
Yeah.
very widely, because I mean, you want to know, because these are people that normally see pedaling on the Green River Reservoir. And so they said, well, last year we were on Instagram. We follow this chick called Mirna Valerio. She goes by the Mirnavator. And we saw her in a canoe paddling, and we
Yeah.
thought that, well, if she's okay, then we can do that as well. And they were new canoers. You know, that to me is what needs to happen.
Yeah.
Not just me, although I love doing this stuff, and I love getting paid for it too. you know, um, but it's the larger message is that we need to see people, different kinds of people, not necessarily just Black people, but all different kinds of people who are in the disability community,
Right.
people who are part of our increasingly decimated Native population, people who are older, people who are younger. Actually, we do need to see more people who are younger here, because
Yeah.
we're losing population. That's another issue that
Right.
we
Right.
have.
Right.
Shout out to Kevin Chu, who does all of that
Yeah. Totally.
research, and yeah, and so that is what needs to happen. I don't want to focus on the negativity. Let's focus. I mean, because that's part of the issue, or people's negative experiences as people in disenfranchised communities. But, I want to focus on bringing more people in. I want to focus on highlighting what is being done, while continuing to do the work, to fix the inconsistencies and the lack of different kinds of people.
Yeah.
We're never going to be like a majority Black, a majority Latinx community, because that's just not how the demographic history of Vermont works, and that's not what we're saying. What I'm saying,
Although, hold on. I'm still like, we're not going to birth our way out of our workforce crisis. Like, it's going to happen.
yeah,
Unfortunately, not with this administration,
right.
because they basically landed every plane and were like, no
Hmm.
refugees are coming to this country unless you're a white Afrikaner,
Hmm.
white
Hmm.
child. Like, even Afghans, they like have abandoned them entirely. The Afghan community, which I've worked with for the last few years, like, but we're not going to birth our way out of it. We have to welcome
We
individuals who have
have to. I mean, we have to.
skills, talent, like, and that's part of our opportunity. Like, and I love the
Yes.
positive
And
framing, right?
yeah,
Like,
and to make our the state sustainable economically and culturally, we need, what's the statistics, we're at around 650,000. Again, shout out to Kevin Chu
yeah,
for teaching us this. We
yeah.
need 802, y'all,
802, let's go.
802K,
Yeah,
to make it a viable economy, to continue the greatness that Vermont has always stood for. And one of the reasons that I moved here and that I chose to stay here, and see my kid off to Montpelier High School and then college. I mean, he loves it here. I love it here. I have a great community here. It's a great place to live. It's hard to live. It's very expensive. Healthcare is expensive. I'm so lucky that I didn't have to do childcare here, because that would have been a whole other thing. Um, but and taxes are expensive. I don't even start talking about that. But it's such a great place to live, and to keep it a great place to live, we really have to attack NIMBYism. NIMBYism,
yeah,
if you don't know, is
definitely.
not in my backyardism. We
Yeah,
have to really confront that,
absolutely.
and investigate why people don't want other people living here. But apparently that is becoming less of a problem, and
Yeah,
also legislation is helping that to become less of a problem. And I personally love to see that continue. I want to bring my family. My family's never lived in
yeah.
Brooklyn, but I really just want them here, because it's really just such a spectacular
It's
place
all
to
about
be
the
and live.
landing
Yeah,
pad, right? It's
yeah.
all about the landing pad. Like, if
Hmm.
we can address healthcare costs and make sure that,
Hmm.
if, like, what's the first thing that you're thinking of when you find a job? You're like, where am I going to live? If you get a job in Vermont, you're like, where am I
Hmm.
going to live? Where are my kids going to go to school or childcare? Am I going to
Hmm.
be able to access
Hmm.
healthcare? It's
Yeah.
like let's address that and then open the really like be
Yeah.
proud and excited about what we have to offer. I think I am not willing to give up on helping to reverse our demographic crisis. And I
Hmm.
think it's just a change of investment and like, this major public investment in childcare is an awesome example of it.
Yes.
So um, I just want to thank you so, so much for your time. And anyone who's joining us, we're going to keep the conversation going.
Yes. We have to do it together because we're
This
not even finished.
I know we're not finished. This Sunday at
Mhm.
Cochrane Ski Area in Richmond, 11 o'clock. Myrna, you graciously offered to go for a hike with a bunch of other families and supporters. Like, come. It'll be
Yes.
fun, easy hike, super family friendly. We're going to have some food after, so join us. Go to
Yay.
mollyforvermont.com if you want to learn more about the campaign. And Myrna, I was thinking, like, who are like our greatest ambassadors? And like, it's like, you, Noah Khan, Alona Mar. Like, I am such a fangirl. Thank you for making
Thank
time and
you.
just like keep putting out there everything that you put out there because it's healing and helping all of us. And you're just like you're amazing. So
Thank
thanks.
you. Thank you,
Yay! This
Molly,
was
and thank you for your
fun.
work. Thank you for your vision. Thank you for everything that you do for the state.
See y'all soon.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye, everybody.